Welcome to the Untitled Library Podcast. I'm Brad Castleberry. We have a great episode for you this week. We're fortunate enough to be joined by Darcy Hannon-McFarland, the UWSP Library's Interlibrary Loan and Resource Sharing Assistant. Darcy has been with UWSP since 2019 and has worked in several different areas within the library. Today we're going to do a deep dive into interlibrary loan. First, we're going to get to know Darcy a little more, then learn what ILL is, how to use it, and how the process of finding resources works. You'll be introduced to some ILL jargon and taken down a couple rabbit holes, but we think you'll enjoy the ride. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and remember to like and subscribe. You got your undergraduate degree from UWSP, and what was that in?
It was in environmental education and interpretation, with a minor in adventure education, which I don't think they do anymore, but I am going to plug it because it's just kind of a fun little thing.
I was going to say, it sounds fun.
Yeah, it was tons of fun. Go out and go canoeing in the morning or go rock climbing and Hillbilly Hollow in the afternoon for class. It was awesome.
And you taught before.
I did. I was a substitute teacher for the Stevens Point area school district. Mm-hmm. Which was great. I did sub work at SWES, the Central Wisconsin Environmental Station. I was an LTE there. And then I taught at a boarding school for a year, 2 years.
Boarding school always sounds very fancy to me. Now, was this in Europe or was this here in Wisconsin?
No, it was a semester school in northern Wisconsin. So it's called Conserve School. They aren't around anymore, but high school juniors would come and they'd learn about the environment for a semester.
So it's part of their curriculum to kind of do an outdoor semester?
Yeah, so I taught a class in stewardship.
Okay.
Where we learned how to take care of the land. They also took, they had access to art classes. Everybody took AP environmental science. And then, the usual coursework, history, English, all with kind of underlying themes of environmentalism. So it was a cool place to be.
And then how'd you get into libraries in the first place? Because you worked at the Portage County Public Library.
I did. So after I finished up at Conserve School, I needed a little bit of a change from teaching. And so I needed a place to be like, I want to keep moving forward. I want to keep serving the community. Mm-hmm. That was so huge and is so huge for me. I want to be able to serve my community, to work for the people. So I wanted to be able to do that and then develop skills in other areas.
So you were ready to make a complete career move, or were you looking for a break from teaching?
Yes.
Okay. You knew that there had to be a change.
Yeah.
And that's the path you took. Did you have interest in libraries before going into the career?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you a reader?
I was. I loved libraries ever since I was a little kid. I was one of those kids that had that special relationship with the school librarian where she'd be like, hey, I got some new books. You want to check out the cart before I put them on the shelf? So it was like that. And I volunteered as a teenager at the public library. I'd come in, I'd do puppet shows. For younger children, I would shelve DVDs in the children's department. So, yeah.
You've been involved forever.
Yeah. Libraries they were always my happy place. So.
Okay. And then when you got your job at the public library, was that as an ILL?
No, it wasn't.
Paraprofessional or?
I started off in circulation. So kind of working the front desk and then shelving books were the primary things in circulation. So from there, after that, I moved to library associate, where I was still, working the desk, but also doing claims returned. So if somebody said, I returned that 2 weeks ago, why is it still on my account? I'd do kind of all the follow-up on that, checking shelves for those missing books and getting in contact with the patrons, being like, hey, did you look under your car seat for this missing book?
Under the couch cushion?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you do ILL before coming to UWSP?
I didn't.
You didn't?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Even at UWSP, I started off in circulation.
Oh,
so
okay.
working in evenings.
Okay.
So work the desk with the students, and then I'd kind of be there as a backup in the evenings. And then a very small portion, this was kind of my foot in the door, and this is why I love reference, maybe is a very small portion of that job would be for those undergrad students doing research kind of in the evening hours after the reference desk closed.
Right.
And they needed resources for the paper due at midnight,
Yeah.
right? So I was there to kind of be like, all right, well, what can we do? It looks like you need stuff that we have access to right now. Let's kind of dig through and see if we can find you what you need.
Okay, so how did you end up in ILL then?
I ended up in ILL, yeah. There was a job opening, and it just sounded really, really awesome.
So let's get into the meat and potatoes of ILL. When people need resources that are not on campus,
Yes.
it's your job to find them,
Yes.
right?
I try to find them.
And ILL is different than resource sharing?
Yes.
Okay, what is resource sharing?
Resource sharing for us in different libraries are going to have different jargon.
Okay.
So for us, resource sharing is anything that we pull from another UW school. So all of the UWs, University of Wisconsin, were synced up. We can kind of peek into each other's records, see what we have. We share that information. So resource sharing is when we borrow and lend things to other universities here, public universities.
So when a student or patron puts in a request, do you check university schools first before branching out? Is this an automated process? How does that work?
It's pretty automated. Ideally, it goes to another UW first because it's going to get to us faster. We have kind of this goal or this promise between the UWs where if you request something and say Eau Claire has it, it's 24 hours or like one business day until somebody's going to look at that request, pull it, or pass it along to the next school. So from there, it gets into delivery, and it should, fingers crossed, should get here or get there very quickly. So we try to get from UWs first.
Okay, so if a patron wants something that we don't have, how do they request it through ILL?
So if you go to the library homepage, you go to the search bar, you want a book on philosophical practice.
Absolutely.
You type that in, you should get a record that pops up, and it'll say request from UWSP or request from another library. If it's one of the tiles at the bottom, they try to give you an estimation on delivery time.
Okay.
So get it in 5 days and keep for 112 days is pretty standard. Depending on where we can pull that book from, that tile might say something different. And it's not a guarantee that you're going to get it in 5 days. Sometimes it'll be less time, which is great. Sometimes it might take a little bit longer.
Okay, and that's if you click in the catalog record. How do we get to that form that I always have to fill out that says title, author, year?
Yeah, that's available on the top bar of the library search page. So
is that if you access ILL directly?
Yeah. So it takes you to a blank form, and then you have to fill in all of that information.
Okay.
So, which is great if you can't find it in the record. I would always recommend try to go from the record from the library homepage if you can, because that gives the system and it gives me more information if we're having trouble finding it.
Because you're going to get an OCLC number, or you're going to get
Yeah, we'll get an
ISBN
OCLC number and or an ISBN or just little clues. So to attach to other universities, you need an ISBN, you need the OCLC number. Not everything has an ISBN or an OCLC number, though. So the more information, the more accurate information we can get, the more likely you are to get the item, or the sooner you can get an item.
Yeah. If somebody requests a book that isn't available in the UW system, and it's not even available in the Midwest. Are there libraries that mail books to us?
Yeah, there's a ton, so many libraries, and that's really where ILL comes into play. We are doing a lot of lending and borrowing with California, of all places right now, just with our new software system. So it's not a huge issue to be requesting books from across the United States. Internationally, requesting books gets a little more complicated just for us because of the price of shipping books. Is it cheaper to pay for shipping, or is it cheaper for us to just buy this item?
That's true.
So,
Who pays for the shipping? If UW Stevens Point requests a book from Texas, does Texas pay to ship it to us?
right now, that's about what we do. We are set up for free lending and free borrowing. That's our preference. So then what we would be paying is when we ship the book, because you have to pay the post office.
Right. And this is not a charge passed on to the patron.
Correct.
The library takes care of that.
Right. We're not charging patrons. There are some libraries that do charge on top of that to help reduce shipping costs. So if I request a book from Utah, they would say, okay, there's a $25 charge. So then when we return the book, we're paying to return the book. And then there's that $25 fee, which offsets their costs for shipping. So.
Okay. And I would imagine you search for the free lending libraries first.
Yes.
Is it an automated process once the request is placed, or do you have to step in and direct it to these specific places?
It depends. So much of it is automated now. We just switched software and it just goes out to the world. But if there's any kind of information that's missing from the request, so if it's missing an ISBN, an OCLC, a title, then there's going to be some human intervention in there. But that also means that things that never had OCLC numbers are going to get kind of like caught up in that. So a lot of music, a lot of older materials like published in the 1970s are going to pop up on my requests requiring mediation. And then I look at them and say, oh, no, well, it's not going to have an OCLC number. So I send it out into the universe anyways. But sometimes when things get a little tricky or when they're really obscure pieces of work, then I'm going to be looking in other people's catalogs or in WorldCat and looking at specific libraries that have it and then asking them directly, do you have this book and will you lend it to us?
So you have probably hundreds of libraries that you could send requests to. So when a request comes in, it's forwarded to one library at a time, I would imagine? Or do you send it to a bunch and then the first one to reply wins?
One library at a time, which is why sometimes it can take a little bit longer than that will be delivered in 5 days.
Right. Because it could have to go through, any library could say no for any reason,
right?
I would imagine. Right.
A lot of times the books are just missing or they're on a cart to be shelved or
there's a natural disaster going through.
Yeah.
But you can shut off lending too, right?
Yes.
We did that when we moved out of our old building.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I should say we didn't shut off lending for very long. So when we were in the process of moving, I kind of stayed where the majority of the books were. And so we kept lending on. So I was the only person in Albertson Hall aside from book movers. So they were moving books out and I was trying to, as people would request books, I would pull them.
Wow.
And then there was a pause for maybe about 2 weeks when we waited for the books to be shelved in the offsite location. Mm-hmm. And then it was just following the bulk of the books out here then. So
you follow the books wherever they go.
I do.
Can a person request a whole book be scanned and emailed to them?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So standard is you can request 10% of a book or one chapter. It gets tricky because then there's also this is all a part of copyright law. If something is published prior to 1928 is the year now, it's open source. It's in the commons. So we can request it. They might not scan all of it.
Right. It's a lot of labor.
Yes, it is.
Do you get people requesting the first chapter of a newly released book, and then 2 weeks later they request the second chapter of that same newly released book? Or is that working the system?
That is gaming the system.
Is that frowned upon?
It is frowned upon. It would be technically illegal because you can only have so much of that book before we should just buy it.
Have you ever come across a situation like that where you put a stop to it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But we do have mediation in place. So we do have our software set up where it should be catching people if they put in multiple requests, multiple similar requests. It's going to put it in front of me and say they have a very similar request. It should be one chapter per person.
What are the different delivery methods patrons can get resources? Can you also request scans, I would imagine?
Yeah. You can request a full book. So if you want more than 10%, if you want more than a chapter, you can request the book. It'll come in the mail if it's coming from outside of Wisconsin. We do have a delivery service set up within Wisconsin. We get books that way and pretty quickly. And then you can do the chapter scans and those come in through your library account. You get a little email that says download here or log into your library account. And then from there you have 30 days to download that scan to your hard drive or your OneDrive, whatever you're using.
Okay.
And then you have articles and chapter scans there.
Is there any types of media that you can't get through ILL?
Yes.
Photographs, 16 millimeter film. I'm guessing people don't generally ship that kind of stuff.
Not really. You can always ask.
Okay.
You can always ask. But it all depends on what other libraries what they're going to lend, what they would even lend to their own patrons, and then circumstances. Once something leaves your own system, you have a lot less control over how people are using that. So it's going to be harder to request those sort of things. We have had people request the film reels, and I don't think we've ever gotten one.
Yeah. So you just send it out and see what the other library says.
Yeah, I'll see if they say yes. Chances are something like that. I'm going to be sending the patron an email saying, hey, please talk to UWSP Archives, and they can put out an archive request and see if they can help you get that material. Otherwise, you might be looking at a trip to Madison so you can view it at their library, right? So other than that, books, movies, microfilm are pretty standard.
Okay.
There's tons of other stuff in libraries, right? So
CDs, VHS.
CDs, VHS. We just got rid of our VHS, but we would be less likely to lend VHS just because we don't want it getting run over the desensitizers.
Oh, sure.
And so that would ruin it. But we don't have VHS tapes anymore anyways. So all kinds of things. But we do have stuff. Like last year, I sent out a pack of mindfulness cards. So that's something that we lend.
Board games?
That's up in the air.
Or are those in-house?
Those for us are in-house, but we might consider lending it on ILL. There's so much stuff that would kind of be like a case-by-case basis. Right. But we have puppets here, and that would be something that I would talk to with our circulation coordinator and be like, hey, somebody from Massachusetts is interested in our Mother Goose puppet. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about this leaving our system? And it would be a conversation, and then we'd get back to them with yeah, we'll lend it, or no, sorry, this is just for our library users.
It's nice you consider at least sending stuff. Like nothing's a definite no out of the gate.
Right.
And I would imagine other libraries are very similar.
Yeah.
Because the goal is to share
Yeah.
resources. Can you walk me step through step? What happens after a request is placed? Where does that request go? What are the steps that occur before the item comes back for them to use?
Okay. So let's say it was a book. So somebody finds a book. They want an edition of Pride and Prejudice that we don't own.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing that they would do, they'd find it in the catalog, ideally, finding the record of the specific edition that they want, and they would click submit. And hopefully it would go to a UW school. So we, in the UW system, have a rota, and we all take our turn at the top of the rota and at the bottom of the rota. So multiple schools might own an item, and then it's just an order that the different libraries get asked. So then the computer software figures out which schools have it,
Mm-hmm.
if it's working.
Yeah.
And so it'll put those schools in a list and say, UW-Madison active, and then Eau Claire pending, La Crosse pending. And so Madison might go, no, it's not available right now. And then it'll go down to the next UW and onto the next UW. And then if it doesn't get pulled from one of our schools, then it goes out to the US pod is the next on the list. So it's going to ask anybody in the US, but it's going to match up different lines on that item record.
So once it opens up to the whole United States, who's it asking first? Do you ask Minnesota first? Do they go geographically, whatever's closest?
Yeah. It would be, we do have a Minitex and SCLS pod. So they are actually next on the list before the US pod. At this point in time, the next group that we would ask would be Minnesota.
Okay.
And then the public libraries. And then if nobody in Minnesota and Minitex or the public libraries and SCLS have it,
Mm-hmm.
then it would go out to the US pod.
Okay.
And it's kind of always fluctuating.
I don't know. I feel like having the option to choose your go-to libraries would be more convenient.
Yeah, I miss it.
You know who lends, and you know.
Yeah, I miss it so much.
Did you used to build relationships, I would imagine, between, like, you trust each other?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I've only been here for 2 years since we kind of changed into the new software. But it was kind of those, like, oh, this library is pretty casual about it. We have this great relationship. And then other libraries would end up on your do not ask list or do
Right.
not lend list.
Right.
We have less control over that now. But, like, my go-to would always be the Portage County Public Library.
Mm-hmm.
Because of Diane. Because, like, I knew her.
Well, it helps when you know the people.
Yeah, it helps coming from there. So I would just be like, hey, do you know what's going on with this book or your
Mm-hmm.
patron? Or so, and the just really good communication. The better the communication, the better the service that we can provide.
Right. Is the idea that the new way of doing it is speeding things up, or is it just a different way of doing it?
The goal is to speed things up for our patrons, integrating all of the ILL things into one account. So from the patron aspect, it's like one library account. So with Iliad, they had to log into their Iliad account to place those requests and to track the due dates, which was kind of a pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
And to try to explain that. And then our circulation students didn't have access to that. So if a patron came in and was like, I'm getting overdue emails for this book, what is that? Our circ students couldn't get into that system to see their due dates or to see what was going on in there. So for the patrons, it's really quite seamless for them. And they don't have to do an extra step of, do you want like we can't get this from a UW school. Do you want to move this into ILL? Now it just automatically kind of moves into ILL.
Okay.
So that's really, really, really awesome. And there was some money saved.
If there's a request that goes through that has no hiccups, no problems, smooth as can be, do you even see that request has been put through and filled, or does just the patron see it?
Yeah, if everything is working smoothly, I don't really see it. The only time that I would be like, oh, this is an ILL book is when it has to be received. So it's just a tiny bit of a different process for receiving a book. So meaning we get it in the mail or we get it in delivery and it's come from outside of our UW system. And so it's just basically you check it in on a different screen, and then it's double checking to make sure that the due date we're going to give our patron is the due date that the lending library wants us to use. So it could be like 60 days or 28 days up to 120 days are kind of all the options.
When those books come in, they come in with extra paperwork, don't they?
Yes.
And it's important for the patron to keep that paperwork with the book.
Yes, please. It's tracking information from the other libraries that stays with the book. And then we also keep notes on there. So we keep notes on how we received books. So if we received a book in a padded mailer, or if we received the book boxed, we want to track how we got it in the mail so that we can mail it back respectfully.
Yeah.
And how they prefer. And it's also just, it's good form. I think it's good etiquette.
Yeah.
To return with the original paperwork.
Do you encourage people to send you emails if they have questions?
Yes. Email is a great way to get a hold of somebody in ILL. And we're there to answer your questions. If you have any questions at all, please shoot us an email. If you're not sure of what you're requesting, send us an email. And then I can help you find what you're looking for, or I can hook you up with a reference librarian so you can have a reference consultation. I had one person a while ago that was just really honest with me and was just like, I'm really new to this research thing. I'm not really sure what I'm requesting. And I was like, that's great.
Yeah.
Because I can see what you're requesting. You know, if you're requesting conference proceeding, or we get a lot of requests for abstracts sometimes. And I think people don't necessarily realize that they're requesting an abstract.
Oh, instead of the whole article?
Instead of the article or a whole thesis or a whole dissertation. So if you're honest, I can come back and be like, hey, how you have this requested is just for the abstract. Do you want the whole thing? So it's really great when you answer emails where I'm asking those questions.
And it's probably a lot easier to fix problems before submitting the request. It's probably too late once you submit a request.
Yeah.
To fix it.
Yeah. It gets a little bit more complicated to cancel something that's moving through the system. But I mean, if you get an abstract and you're like, no, I want the whole article, email, and I'll be like, oh yeah, all right. Or just put a note on there if you're not sure what an item is. Or I'm not going to try to question what people are requesting.
Or judge their...
Or judge. Yeah. No.
It's not what we're here for.
No. I'm just here to make sure you're getting what you're requesting. So if you're finding you're not getting what you think you should be getting, reach out so we can help you drill down to what you really need.
I think it's also important. We've been talking about academic resources this whole time, but if you want to read a novel, like, we can help you find that too. Recreational reading. I
guess this kind of relates back to one of the other questions of what can you get, what can't you get through ILL. So new items, you're probably not going to get through ILL. American Library Association, the ALA, kind of has guidelines for what is good to request, and like the please don't request that.
Mm-hmm.
And new items fall under that list of you
Okay.
shouldn't be requesting that. Sometimes if it's like a little bit more of an obscure title and it's new, I'll ask for it.
Oh,
but
yeah. Is it like 6 months?
6 months.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
I know some stuff. I listen to my wife once in a while.
Yeah, but popular fiction.
Yeah.
You can totally request that. And we'll ask other libraries for it.
Do you have any horror stories? Any ILL horror stories of, I don't know, somebody submits the form and it's just the title and nothing else?
Yeah.
Or, does that happen a lot?
I don't know if I'd call that a horror story, but it does happen at least once a semester where somebody says, I need title biology and author John Doe.
Mm-hmm.
And I go,
It's not enough.
I don't know. I don't know what you want. So that is generally going to be an email from me saying, first off, hey, is this a textbook that you need for class? And is it available through text rental? Because we're different from text rental. We can help you out with supplementary books that you might need or textbooks that aren't available at text rental. But if you are looking to be renting your textbooks and you're emailing ILL, you're in the wrong place.
So, or maybe it wasn't an accident.
Right. But in which case I need more information because biology by John Doe is so generic.
Right.
I punch that into any kind of catalog search and I'm going to get thousands of books.
Mm-hmm.
So I need an ISBN, a year, more editors, a full title.
Have you had a request you're particularly proud you were able to find and get to somebody?
We had a request a while ago for something in our serial set, and they don't get requested very often. They're very old. And this was they wanted something from like original data from the like yellow fever outbreak in the US. And I looked it up and I was looking online and I was like, this is in the commons. Other libraries have uploaded this.
Mm-hmm.
You can download it, but just for kicks, I was like, well, I've never done anything in our serial set yet. I want to, what would the process for scanning this be like? And I took a look at our copy, and our copy had just data and graphs that weren't included in the scans online.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, heck yes, I'm going to fill this, and it's old enough where I can scan the whole thing. It's a government publication, so I can scan the whole thing, and I'm going to send it to you, and you now have access to just data that wasn't available freely online from the other scans. So that's been pretty cool.
Gives that person a leg up maybe on... Have you ever had a request that was the whole book was publicly available on Internet Archive?
Yes.
Like they could have just Googled it and found it themselves?
Yeah. It happens fairly frequently that people request things that are in the commons. And if I'm able to find them in the commons, or in public domain, open source, however you want to call it, if I find it, I will download it and submit it on their library account. It used to be something that would really kind of irk me, but I know that people don't necessarily see that it's in the commons. So sometimes they are looking through an EBSCO database and they put the request in, and the request comes from EBSCO to Primo, which is the library website. And then from there it comes to me. So EBSCO isn't tracking if it's open source and where you can get it open source.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of other databases that have that. I have found some pretty cool stuff on Internet Archives, including government publications from the Wayback Machine.
Mm-hmm.
that just weren't available because there was like the great reshuffle of 2016. So there were some publications that got lost in that restructuring, but we were able to use the Wayback Machine to find those old papers. But there's also like Hathi Trust or like Gutenberg.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So there's all these kinds of other databases with open source stuff, but I wouldn't expect our patrons to be like, oh,
right,
this is something old. I'm going to look here and here and here and here.
I think it says a lot that the first thing they do is contact the library to find it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then they don't have to go out and do the searching themselves.
Yeah. It's my job.
That's right.
It's literally my job. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I'd like to thank Darcy again for a great conversation. And if you'd like to learn more, please visit our website. Until next time, keep reading, keep exploring, and remember the library is always open for discovery.